Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. Now, it's been an incredible week of NBA basketball just to start the 2026 NBA season. We've had stars who just haven't disappointed whatsoever, just with the competitiveness across the league as well. Like, so far as fans, we have nothing to be disappointed about. And I've been just trying to get back into the swing of things myself. Obviously, a ton of film and news to keep up with, especially with all the off-court dramas that's been happening, but also just the on-court excellence of just so many stars. You know, just recently we just had Marketing drop a 50 piece. You know, Austin Reeves just damn near 50-point triple-double as well. And so basically just in today's episode, just a week into the season, I just wanted to hit off the 5 guys who I thought have been the most impressive performers that we've seen so far in just 1 week of NBA action. And that does start us off with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, obviously with Shai, it's really just the transcendent scoring piece of his game. And that is what is so reminiscent of, you know, Michael Jordan's individual scoring inevitability piece. Now, I bring up that MJ comparison, and it kind of just derives from the legit mass scoring production matched with the efficiency peak as a perimeter initiating shot hunter in this league. We've seen back-to-back seasons for SGA shooting 57% on effective field goal percentage, something that MJ never quite touched, but in that similar mold of just relying on the intermediate zone shot creation, the similarities are just so vivid there, methodically as well, getting to those spots that they really like. SGA has the fadeaway piece, he's got the counters, he has the body contortion, he has the weight distribution, all these different pieces that MJ used as well to get himself quality, same like muscle memory types of looks as well. And I bring up that comparison because, I mean, through 3 games already this season, 46-5 on 56.1% effective field goal percentage through those first 3 games. And that included back-to-back double OT dogfights where he dropped 35 points and 55 points to open up the season. And then he pieced off 30 points on just 17 shots, just giving that enormous half-court execution advantage for OKC through such a highly efficient combination of all-time exceptional shot touch on all varieties of different angles, different directions, on different types and variances of balance. And then you also just get the all-time separation creation that we've seen year by year now with SGA. You know, we're talking about like elite movement pattern variance, reactive processing at a level that we can't really comprehend, bullet speed and direction changes for his size, extreme footwork counters to delve into the post and in that mid-range section, just, you know, being able to hand different counters to all types of different defenders. And like this guy's like legitimately just unguardable at this point in time. And look, just of what we've seen from these past few games, this just might be another all-time campaign incoming once again for SGA. And I think people are starting to now understand the actual value of this all-time shot-making efficiency that we're witnessing. And I mean, like, it's legit already backed a championship-sufficient offense, and he's already cemented himself as an all-time great talent in general. And from just what we've seen from the start of this season, with the underwhelming talent on OKC's current roster, just being able to pull out 2 double OT victories against 2 teams that really wanted to get that win against OKC in Houston and Indiana, 2 teams that do match up relatively decently against those lineups. When you are relying on AJ Mitchell and Aaron Wiggins to be your second and third best offensive players when you are playing in Indiana in that double OT dogfight, like, I just think SGA has proven so much value just in his ability to purely score the basketball at just such a transcendent level. And I think he's going to prove that again this season. I think he is the favorite to go back-to-back on MVPs, and he might be the favorite to go back-to-back in finals MVPs with just how dominant he looks right now. Now, moving on to my second player that I wanted to hit off today. And these are all guys that I think everyone in the league kind of understands what type of level these guys are at and like the actual surge in confidence that these guys are playing with. And this guy's a guy that I think probably, he was my biggest storyline heading into the season, just what type of level we were going to see from this guy. And that is Luka Doncic. And as we have heavily anticipated, obviously, Luka has seemed to return to, you know, maybe even surpass that previous dominant offensive level that he was at before. And now we're just looking at the ultimate offensive surgeon at the point guard position in the NBA. Now, 2 things were severely lacking in Luka's game last year that he has definitely addressed. And these are 2 things that really separated that 2024 version from the previous 2025 version when he was from Dallas to LA. And it was really just the short-range shot-making efficiency piece and then the separation athleticism. Now, this may be the most explosive and powerful version of Luka that we've seen in ages. we've seen in the offseason, just the less weight on his frame just gives him these new agility-based gears. This just allows him to launch off his quads much more fluidly, just being able to get that extra power transfer through his legs and into those shots as well. That's why he can nail these really deep bomb threes out of pick and roll now too. And that just seems much more balanced overall with his actual frame. And his shot motion throughout everything, like all the in-motion drives to the fadeaway looks, all those looks are just way more balanced and way more coordinated now with just less weight. But now, just obviously after 2 games that we've seen, this guy looks simply unguardable. And the frame is still super strong, and the contact baiting is what really just makes him just so ridiculously hard to play pressure against as well. So really there isn't much you can do, especially with the way they are officiating games to start this year. And through those first 2 games, Doncic was 13 of 14 from the field in the paint non-restricted area, and he was 5 of 6 from the mid-range. So basically everything is pristine polished from that touch perspective and that short range as well. And so he's just ultimately addressed everything, every concern that we could have had for him as that offensive engine that did separate him from being that all-time great guard to just being a simple superstar. And he's still launching passing feeds as well with exceptional bullet speed and accuracy. And he's just toying with pick and roll defenses, just manufacturing the most overpowered single brute force, like heliocentric style of offense that you can find out there. And so despite the Lakers not looking as domineering with an abundance of flaws that are really showing still, Luka has certainly held up his end of the bargain just with his dominant physical shot creation feel. And really this version of Luka could very much look like the best player in the world if he can maintain a level of output of around 34 points, 9 rebounds and 9 assists. And that type of mark would cement him as a true MVP favorite. And I have no doubt that he will be able to put together a season like that pretty effortlessly with the way he started this year. Now, my third guy I'm going to hit off today. Now, we're moving through these guys relatively fast, but it's going to be Victor Wembanyama. Now, with Victor, he just looks like completely different at this point. And I think he's leading the MVP race so far, just the dominant feel on both ends of the floor, but just the off-season work on his body and like the movement fluidity. It's just so clear to see, and like he's just seems like visibly so much stronger, just more confident in his footwork mechanics on those post and driving counters, just smoother in his overall power transfer from those bump and fade jumpers as well. Just looks way more like methodical and just under control, gathering into that shot motion now and just trusting his over-the-top release advantages that he does have embedded in every single matchup that he has on the floor. And just the ball handling itself as well. I mean, there's clear changes in his development of using his shooting leverage to try and get more dribble penetration, just using more hesitation dribbles, more cross counters to be able to like open up defenders' hips even more. But also just the maturity. I mean, like so much more less shot settling just from beyond the arc. I know he's still deep bombing some threes, but the actual like shot distance is way shorter than it was last year. And just the overall shot selection overall, like it's just maturing so fast right now with Victor. And he's just understanding that he can actually get those clean, unbothered looks from the mid-range section if he can successfully assert himself as a driving presence. Like he is working way more harder to establish post positioning through his shot creation, his off the dribble creation. Like this guy is just looking absolutely way more methodical and surgical with how he's approaching the offensive game. Obviously, there's still a ton to work on. Obviously, screening still isn't like elite value yet. Working against doubles and stunning coverages as well, where his like handle and passing reads and windows can get kind of bothered pretty easily. He needs to be a bit sharper making those kick out reads off the catch, because the handle can get him in a bit of trouble against the pestering help. But the actual growth curve that we've seen with Victor, who is 21 years old, it's just insane. And he's averaging 33 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 blocks in 33 minutes through 3 games on 60% effective field goal percentage. Just absurd numbers of dominance, and it's only really just the start for Victor. And really, if this level of dominance is just an indicator for the season that we're going to see, then I don't really see why Victor can't captain a 50-win regular season team just this season in year 3 and be the leading MVP candidate, which it seems like he is so far this year. Like, he looks absolutely dominant. He's the best defender in the world. And if he's getting this type of offensive efficiency and bolstering this offensive half-court value the way he is right now, there's no reason why he can't be the second best player in the world by the end of this season. Now, moving on to number 4. Now, this rising megastar did get injured in his 3rd game, I'm pretty sure it was. I think he went to the locker room with hamstring tightness, obviously, and this is Anthony Edwards. And this is a guy that just continues to refine his overall scoring arsenal. And this is a guy that's just edging closer and closer to that half-court scoring reliability that we see of SGA, especially when we look at that actual archetype of just that bolstering perimeter scorer. And obviously exiting the Pacers game. But this guy, I mean, he's like the Russell Westbrook of this era in terms of being an Iron Man of durability amongst the superstar field. I think it said he's out for 2 weeks. You'd have no issues with Anthony Edwards. He's built like an absolute tank. The only thing you might want to be worried about is just how taxing his style of play is on his body naturally. But this guy will be absolutely elite when he comes back just again. But just reviewing of what we've seen in the first 2 games, 36 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists on 62% effective field goal percentage. Literally just showcasing everything that we've seen over the years, but with more incremental polish. The pull-up game in these first 2 games, absolutely legit once again. 15 of 29 from the field on those pull-up jumpers. Just getting absolutely comfortable with that elevation and the pace variance tools that give him those driving lanes as well to be able to leverage to get more comfortable and more open step-back looks. This is a guy, again, like SGA, like he's got a ton of counters, a ton of different variety in his scoring bag. And like he's just utilizing these counters just so effortlessly right now. And he still showed us like a bit more of that post-up game as well, which we didn't see as much of last season. And we saw that in spurts, especially in the Portland game sometimes every now and then. And in terms of developing that deadly counter repertoire as well, Edwards is now just leveling to unstoppable territory with just how dangerous he is at purely hunting comfortable rhythm-based looks. Against Portland in that first game where he dropped that nice 40-piece to open up the season, he was just giving Toumani Camara the toughest night you could ask for, just shifting angles and directions the entire time and just absolutely showcasing that reactive shot creation mindset that he is fully developing at his young age. Just taking everything that is given to him and just more or less slowing the game down for himself to be able to identify those, successful angles, those lanes, the space that is being given to him. And as for Camara and for any defender assigned for Anthony Edwards on any night, it's just about playing the percentages at this point. But this version of Ant, like the actual scoring value, it just seems absolutely inevitable at this point in time. And against LA in that second game, it was more of that methodical work against those favorable matchups once again. And you can pick on DeAndre Ayton, you can pick on Luka Doncic, you can relatively pick on that main assignment and Gabe Vincent as well with the over-the-top advantages as too. But obviously, we saw the small lineups that LA threw out there that could mitigate a lot of the shot hunting with more physically competitive help that they could throw at him. But just reviewing purely where Ant stands across the league as a talent right now, I think it's pretty scary just how much this guy stays committed to the growth of it all. And when he comes back from this injury, he's just going to be surging once again. And really, ultimately, his durability and the actual shot creation reliability that he brings night to night. And it's really just so matchup resilient as well. That is why I do have the Timberwolves as a top 5 contender in the NBA. Now moving on to my number 5 guy, and the 5th guy I'm going to shout out is a rookie. I wanted to shout out, obviously it's going to be VJ Edgecombe that you guys know. And just among the rookie class, just in general, we've seen so many guys just flash their abilities to contribute to winning basketball immediately. Dylan Harper's been absolutely exceptional for San Antonio, and arguably I should be giving him a shout out in this spot. Cooper Flagg, I know he's had his struggles from night to night, and he's had a lot of tough matchups, but overall he's been pretty good. Concanipple, absolutely amazing for Charlotte's offense and just their offensive maturity. Cedric Coward had a massive game. Jeremiah Fears, I was very big on. Colin Murray Bowles just recently showed out in his second game, but no rookie has shined more than VJ Edgecombe himself. Obviously, all the hype really stemmed from that first game where he just took full advantage of the passive defensive coverages that Boston were throwing at him. And that's where he just lit up. He's absolute, one of the best debuts that you'll ever see, 34 points and 7 rebounds and 3 assists. And in that game specifically, it was more VJ just showcasing why he is the most confident rookie in this class. In that game, especially in what we've seen so far this year, seated next to, Tyrese Maxey, who takes more of that primary lead ball handling role. In this more pitched off ball and primary spot up role for VJ, he's always shot ready against those helping coverages. And he's got pretty balanced shot mechanics as well, but it's also when attacking off the catch, that is when he is a complete blur. And therefore, we see this potential as a shot hunter with the peak elevation that he offers. There's just so much to be excited about with VJ at this point. And obviously I haven't even touched on, but like his main facet of dominance right now as a rookie and what he's so transcendently great at already is the transition game. And that is really where VJ is at his absolute best. And he's just so unstoppable at getting the angles that he wants with this insane gas speed and the gears that he can jack up in absolutely no time. But obviously, like, you can't just get like to the rim every time with just pure bullet speed. This guy has some real finesse in his transition attacks. Against the Magic as well, like, just one thing that just really encapsulates his variety of like transition dominance. I think he had an early transition possession in the first quarter where he just went full train and just beat Paolo and Jalen Suggs for contact at the rim, got the foul call, 2 free throws, done. Then the very next possession, he just exploded in transition once again in the full court. And then this time, Jalen Suggs thought, this time he'll just decide to draw a charging foul. But instead of contesting vertically up top, which to be honest is kind of a death sentence for defenders in transition against VJ in general, VJ just adjusts midair, contorts his body, and alters the finishing angle in just absolutely split time just to get an easy finish. And so just basically the maturity and just being able to harness that explosive speed in transition, like that's what makes VJ just so lethal for the regular season, especially as teams are starting to milk the margins more so, emphasizing transition more so to be able to milk those margins so clearly. And like also like the pick and roll creation with VJ, I mean, there was more of that on display in that Orlando game. And just the overall feel for being that secondary ball handler next to Maxi's gravity, that has been absolutely perfection so far from a rookie, and you wouldn't expect any more from any other guy of his age. And despite major defensive concerns due to just purely just the size limitations and the proneness to mismatch hunting, besides that, I mean, VJ just adds another star guard prospect to that 76ers locker room, and he is like just seemingly blended so well next to Tyrese Maxey. And like, obviously, like it's good to have that contrast. Like VJ is more of that athletic, just full train, explosive guy who can actually play really well off ball. And you're seeing him next to more of that skill guard who demands the on ball perks like Tyrese Maxey does. And now just a week into VJ's NBA career, I mean, just to be averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds and 6 assists and 2.5 stocks a game through 3 games. And like, obviously we can't expect this production level to maintain by any means, but teams are going to start accounting for his gravity off the catch more so, and they're going to be plugging those transition leakages with more deterring athletes. But VJ has certainly shined more than any rookie so far this season and has already exceeded all of our expectations so far. And really, as VJ looks to also just build out the frame over the next few years and the upper body size, his actual half-court closeout attacking power and matched with more easy intermediate mid-range shot making, that'll make him look more like that Victor Oladipo, Dwayne Wade archetype. And really just that comparison is also just attributed to the high intensity motor and the feel for cutting and those finishing angles that is only natural to the most superb athletic talents. And for Philadelphia fans, that backcourt between Maxey, McCain, Quentin Grimes, and what VJ now projects to be, that should fuel the excitement for this post-Embiid 76ers era. And absolutely, from what this guy's already shown us, I think his floor at this point is probably going to be like at least an all-star in this league. And we'll see what he can keep up. I mean, if VJ can deliver any sort of a season close to like an 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists type of season in that secondary role next to Maxey and Embiid as that tertiary overall scoring force, like this guy will have no doubt an easy way to the Rookie of the Year award just this season. And obviously just that wraps up the quick podcast for today of just my 5 favorite performers from week 1. It's only been a week, but we are seeing pretty strong trends so far this season. And if you got your own standout picks from week 1, just drop them in the comments or DM at Casual NBA Fanatic. I want to hear who impressed you guys most, and I thank you guys for listening and staying tuned, and I'll be coming in with next week's recap as we keep tracking who's separating from the pack just early this season with the season already a week underway.